Assalamu alaikum, good evening everybody. Today we are going to discuss a case study for the database. I believe it's the best way to understand and to connect the dots in the database subject. So basically we are going to follow the Easy Drive database case study. We'll go through it, and then we'll try to find out how to start and from the design phase till the creation of tables and all of this stuff. So the Easy Drive School of Motoring was established in Glasgow in 1992. Since then, the school has grown steadily and now has several offices in most of the main cities of Scotland. However, the school is now so large that more and more administrative staff are being employed to cope with this ever increasing amount of paperwork. Furthermore, the communication and sharing of the information between offices, even in the same city, is poor. The director of the school, Dave MacLeod, feels that too many mistakes are being made, and that the success of the school will short-lived if if it if sorry short-lived if he doesn't do something in for this case. He knows that the database could help him in a part of to solve this problem, and has approached us and our team to help in creating the database system support the running of Easy Drive School of Motoring. So the director have provided the following brief description of how the Easy Drive School operates. So basically we have a school who teach people how to drive, and they are facing some problems. They have many offices, they need to implement database. So let's go through it step by step. Okay, data requirement. Each office has a manager. We'll go through it, and then we'll try to break it down and split the rules. But let's see how big is it. Yeah, it's half page, it's fine. Each office has a manager who tends to also be a senior instructor. This is a good thing, because when we drive the tables, this will help us so much. Several senior instructors and instructors. So we have an office. An office has some staff. This staff either be a manager, and if he is a manager, that means he is a senior instructor, comma, senior instructor, and then instructor, and administrative staff. The manager is responsible for the day-to-day running of the office. Client must first register at an office, which includes completion of an application form, which records their personal data. Which records their personal details before the first lesson. A client is requested to attend an interview with the instructor. So before the first lesson, the instructor need to assess the capability of the driver, of the trainee or the student, to know what's going on. With an instructor to assess the needs of the client, and to ensure that the client holds a valid provisional driving license. Okay, in some countries they do this theoretical test first. So they will give you a temporary permit to drive, but you need to have someone beside you, and then you can go for the driving test. So basically this is what he want to see. He want to assess his to ensure the client holds a valid provisional driving license. Then a client is free to ask for a particular instructor. He can choose a particular instructor or to request that instructor to be changed at any stage throughout the process. So the instructor can be changed at any moment of the process of learning to drive. After the interview, the first lesson is booked. A client may request individual lessons or book a block of lessons for a reduced fee. An individual lesson is for 1 hour, which begin and ends at the office. So basically, they will drive you back and forth. You will take the car from the office and bring it back to the office again. A lesson is with a particular instructor in a particular car at a given time. Lesson can start as early as 8 a.m. and as late as 8 p.m. So their working hours is from 8 to 8. After each lesson, the instructor records the progress made by the client and notes the mileage used during the lesson. Okay, great. The school has a pool of cars which are adapted for the purpose of teaching. Each instructor is allocated to a particular car as well as a teaching sorry each instructor is allocated to a particular car as well as teaching. The instructor are free to use the car for personal use as well. Okay, the cars are inspected at regular interval for faults. Once ready, a client apply for a driving test to obtain a full driving license. The client must pass both the driving and written part of the test. Okay, it is the responsibility of the instructor to ensure that the client is best prepared for the aspect of the test. The instructor is not responsible for testing the client and is not in the car during the test, but should be available to drop and pick the client back and forth before and after the test. If the client failed to pass, the instructor must record the reason of the failure. Okay, so and this is what he wants. This kind of the database should answer. Okay, the names of the and telephone numbers of the managers in each office. So we need to have the name and telephone numbers, the full address of the office in Glasgow. So we need to have the address of the offices, the name of all female instructors. So in the instructor we need to have attribute called sex or gender, like male or female. The total number of staff in each office. This is okay. The total number of client, past and present. So we need to keep a history. The timetable of each appointment. So the lesson for next week. So the lessons have a timetable which is from and to. The detailed of the interview instructor given by instructor. So we have a table called interview. So what I'm gonna do now is according to the scenario and the questions that they asked, we will try to find out what we need to do in this session. So as I was saying, we have offices, we have staff, we have client, we have registration, we have interview, client is free to have a particular instructor. Okay. A client may request a individual lesson or a block of lessons. So we can have this block of lessons as a table, but let's see. Because of this, we will see if we can work on this. An individual lesson for 1 hour and begin particular structure for a particular car. So we have a car. The lesson starts from 8 to 8, so this is a condition. We have inspection. We have test. So the test has a driving test and written test. So this can be a category of the test type. Okay, and we have also the reason for failure. Okay, so basically let's write this down and let's try to find and connect the dots. I was writing here I wrote the lesson. Let's write here block also and see if we can do something for this block. We have interview, we have car, we have inspection, we have test, and reasons for failure. Let's do our journey now. Okay, so these are the main entities that we are going to use or to add in our database. Okay, so let's have fun. Let's open our UML diagram. I'm using this for the entity relationship diagram, but I'm using the class diagram, but it's similar. It's not a big deal. Close this one. Save. let's write down our entities. We have office, offices has cars, and has a stuff, and we have clients. So this is the major entities. Definitely we need to put the tables, the columns and everything, but let's write down this first and then we'll go through the relationships. Okay, so we say we made the office, staff, client, cars. Okay, so we'll put the interview, we'll put the inspection, we'll put the test. Interview, inspection, test, and then reason for failure. Okay, so let's I didn't put the test as well as the lessons. And I put package. This package, I'm not sure if we can use it, but this is my way of thinking. I might change it in the next while we are doing the class, the design itself. This is basically what I want to do. Is they are saying if you take a lesson, individual lesson will have a price, a package will have a reduced price. For example, if I have a lesson individually, it costs me 100 per lesson, so I can take a class of package of six lessons for only 400 instead of taking them individually. So I can make a package which will have multiple lessons and the price of the package, for example, and the client will register for a package or for a lesson. Or I can make a column here called package number, package ID, and if it is null, then this is an individual course. If it is not null, then it is related to a package. Let me think about it and let's see. Keep it aside. Okay, so we have a test. This test has a client. So the relationship between the test and the client is every test has a client and every client has a test. So the relation is book a test. Okay, he book a test and then it is from his side one and only one, minimum is 1 0 1. It means it is, let's say it's the client can have multiple tests, so it's one too many, but the minimum is 1. Okay, so the minimum for the test, it minimum has one test, one client. It cannot go for 0. The test cannot have a zero client. But from the other side, the client can have multiple tests. So I can go for the first test and I fail. For like me, I got my driving license here after the third trial. So initially I am a client without any tests, without any exams, and then I took my first test, I took my second test, I took my third test. So in this case the relation is one to many, but initially I didn't have any exam, any driving test, so I can say it is 0 to many. So this is the cardinality and the participation. Okay, so this is how it works. So for these tables we are okay for now, I mean. The test also 1 we talk about the test. And the reasons for failure. That means I must have a test to have a fail. So minimum is 1 to 1. Yani minimum is 1 here, and 1 0 0 1, because I must each reason failure definitely has a test, and minimum has one test. It cannot be 0 test. I cannot have a reason for failure while I didn't get the test first. Okay, but the test itself, I might made tens of errors. So reasons of failure can be 1 to many. Okay, because it cannot be 0 also, because if it is 0 that means I didn't fail. It cannot be 0 also, because if it is 0 then there is no failure, right? So, or it can be 0. Why it can be 0? Yes, it can be 0 if I succeed. So if I succeed, then there is no 0 reasons of failure. So the relationship is 0 to many. So that's it. This is for this part. Okay, an interview definitely will have a date, will have a client, will have a staff. So let's see this first. And the staff is registered in, let's go to the problem again. Let's see if the staff can register in multiple offices or in one office. Yeah, it is must register at an office. So the client is registering in one office. So we'll go here. and we put our client. I'm trying to make it straight. Yeah. So here we have one office has multiple clients, so register. Okay, so a client register in an office, so it is minimum 1-to-1 here. Not, I mean not 1-to-1, I mean it's 1-to-many, but it's minimum one office. And here an office, if it is a new office, maybe it's not yet has a client, so it is 0-to-many, maybe. So client registered in an office, same thing we can say here, the client employee the office employee staff. So we have all the staff is working for one office, so again it is one here. And the the office has multiple staff. It cannot, yeah, we cannot say 0 staff, because at least it has a manager if he still not yet defined the staff or hire the staff. So this is how it works. Here I want to say something, but let's see the lessons. So here we say this: before the first lesson, a client is requested to attend an interview. So we have an interview between the client and the staff. So again, the client and the interview is how many interviews? Interviewed. So one client has one interview. Okay, so it's 1-to-1, and each interview must have at least one client. Okay, so it's 1-0-0-1. Okay, and the staff is doing many interviews, so it's 1-to-many. Interviewing. Okay, Again, it's one too many, and each interview must have at least one interviewer, so the minimum is one from his end. And each interviewer has multiple interviews. Okay, or he might, by the way, he might have zero interview because he's still, maybe he's a new interviewer. Okay, or he might be a manager, he's not giving class anymore, so maybe it is zero. Okay, my question here, okay, so this is how it works so far. Let me adjust it a little bit. Yeah. Let's take a break and continue in a second.
طيب ازيكم يا شباب، إيه الاخبار؟ هنكمل. في الجدول ده انا لقيت مشكلتين. اول حاجه، sorry I'm speaking loud. In these tables or in this design so far we have two problems. The first thing is the staff can be a manager, which is a senior instructor, can give clients, can give lessons. The senior instructor and the instructor, but we have also admin staff, and those admin staff are not eligible to give classes, so we have a problem here. What's the problem is, if for example I attach the lesson, if I do like this, I say a staff can give a lesson, teach. A staff can teach a lesson. Okay? If we do like this, then we are in trouble. Why? Because the staff has also admin, which is they are not allowed to give lessons. So what I'm gonna do is, let's try to do a trick. We'll put the common data in the staff, but we will make another column or another table called instructor. The instructor will have the staff ID and then what kind of vehicle he is driving. So the instructor, we can expand this solution to for example, to a training company for a flight, for a port, or for sailing, or whatever. So I'm gonna add remove this column, this relationship, and make another class called instructor. Let's put it down here. Okay. And this instructor will say that the employee, the office has multiple staff. Okay. And the relation relation between staff and instructor is one-to-one, staff is an instructor, or an instructor is a staff. And here we will say um, 1 and 1001 also. So what we are going to do now, and the instructor can be a manager, and so we will say another relationship between this and the office. Instructors manage the office, and it's also one-to-one. Okay, by doing so, what we will achieve, I'll link the instructor with the lesson. So I'm sure whoever in this instructor list is not an admin, so they can give a lesson. So now I can link this one with the interview. So in this case I'll take this out, I'll make the instructor give the interview, interviewing. Okay, and here the instructor, each interview has one instructor, so minimum one, so we can do it this way. And he might have 0 client, so it is 0 to many. Okay, so this is how it works now. I think this is much better. So we are sure that no admin can give lessons. So this is one thing. And we can also put in the instructor something called instructor type. Okay, we'll build here an instructor type. Instructor types. Okay, and this instructor type might be a car driver, or a flight, or a captain, or a sailor, or a pilot. So this instructor type can be a driver, pilot, or captain, like captain in a ship. And by doing this we can expand our lessons to these companies, like training for sailing, or training for pilot, for flights, or driving a normal car. So here we will make something called, instead of car, we make it vehicle. And in this vehicle I will have something also vehicle type. and the relation between vehicle and vehicle types is each vehicle has a type. Let's put this aside. The relation should be like this. As each vehicle has a vehicle type. And also the vehicle will go for inspection multiple times, and each inspection might have get inspected. Let's go for the thing again. When we talk about the car are inspected at a regular interval for faults. So the car get inspected. So the car get inspected and get okay. So car got inspected, and we can bring the inspection down here. Control Z. Yeah. And the car inspected several times, so maybe 0 or 1, 0 or many times. If it's a new car, it's not yet inspected, and each inspection must have at least one car, so it is 1001 or 1.1, I'm sorry. And the inspection is 0 many. Okay, so this is how it works. Just move this a little bit here so it's readable. Okay, so we have vehicle, we have vehicle type. Each vehicle has a vehicle type. It's 1-to-1. It's a vehicle has, yeah, vehicle type has multiple cars. Vehicle type has multiple cars, so it's 1 to many. So I don't know where I put it, so 0 0. And here 1 0 0 many. So by doing so, if I say my vehicle is a plane or a flight or a boat or a car, so I have it this way. Okay. What else? This lessons. The lesson has an instructor and has a client and has a vehicle. Instructor types, we need to have it also here. Instructor types, a pilot is an instructor, so pilot is an instructor. So here it is again 1001. Okay, but a type can have multiple instructors, or we'll make it 0 for now because some of them are not yet used. I mean, For example, if I define an instructor type as pilot or a sailor, is they don't yet have any data in the database, so that's why I make it 0 too many. I believe it is a little bit confusing, but what I'm saying is now we are doing training for driving test for car driving. If we expand our business in the future and we want to teach flying in a plane or sailing in a boat, that's why we made this type. We will say the instructor is a pilot or a driver or a sailor, but for now we used only driver, so that's why I put here 0 for this 0, because if I define here pilot and sailor and we don't have them, so it allow me to have an instructor 0 0 0 here. Like, you got what I mean? Like, it's not a must to have at least one pilot or at least one sailor. Okay. Lessons and packages, and the difference in the package and the lessons. Thinking of having two kind of registration. I'll make a registration thing. In this registration, I'll say, I'll put here the registration ID and the package here if it is package registration. But how I'm gonna know it is here there is something that I want to think about it. First of all, there is two tricky points here. The first thing is, before taking a lesson, I must have an interview. So I can put the interview ID in the lesson, and I must make it required. But if this is the case, they were saying before the first lesson. Why I'm gonna repeat the interview in all the lessons? If I have 10 lessons, I'll put the interview ID. So this is not a good way of seeing it. Until and unless I make another table, which is a registration. In this registration, I will put the registration ID with the interview ID, and then I pass the registration ID to the lessons. I now make it mandatory in this case, but again in this case I'm gonna repeat the registration for each lesson as well. But yeah, we might do so. Let me think about it. So yeah, I came to a conclusion. Yes, we need to link all the lessons. For example, if I got an interview, okay, and then the driver, the instructor told me you need 9 lessons. I need something to link these 9 lessons. So I'm gonna have another class called registration or contract. Okay. Okay. In this contract, I will say, is it a package contract or individual lessons? Okay. And I will assign him one of the package if it is a package, or I'm just thinking again, it is confusing a little bit. So what we are going to do is this I think will solve our issue. We will have a contract. The client will sign a contract, and this contract will tell me it must have an interview ID. So by doing this, I'm sure the contract has an interview ID. So I'm sure that this guy has done at least one interview, and then I'll take this contract ID and put it in the lesson, okay? And in the contract ID as well, I'll put a package ID. So it can have, I can say like this, like this. Let's pull it this way, and then I take it that way. Like this, yeah. So what I have here, I have a contract that might have a package ID, okay? So might have, that means a package, the contract might have 0 or 1, and the package can be assigned to, the package can have multiple contracts. Sorry. A package can have multiple contract or 0 contract, multiple contract, and the contract might have a package or without package at all. So what I did here is let me try to make it straight. Yeah, by doing so, a contract, a package, sorry, what is this? Yeah, a package might have multiple contracts, okay, or 0 contract, and the contract might have 1 package or 0 package, okay? And then I'll put each contract have multiple lessons. So a lesson have at least have. So each contract has multiple lessons, 1 or many lessons, okay? And it's at least 1. So let's grab this a little down, grab this a little down, and grab this a little down. Also the contract might have okay, there is no caption for this. It has. Okay, by doing so, I think we are fine. So what I achieved from this, I achieved 2 points. I achieved 2 points. First of all, a lesson must have a contract, and the contract must have an interview. So I'm sure that initially he had 1 interview. So here a contract must have an interview, here I write 1 to 1. A contract might have an interview, and an interview might have must have one contract. So by doing this I fix that issue. Okay, and now
sorry, and now I did one more thing, is we need to attach the lessons to the instructors and the vehicle. So we need to attach these. Unfortunately we do this way. I don't like to cut the things, but yeah, unfortunately we were forced to do. Let's put instructor has multiple lessons, so one instructor at least for one lesson, and instructor must have a lesson. The instructor will have multiple lessons. Actually 0 or more, maybe he didn't have any lesson yet. So some of us will tell me why you didn't attach the instructor to the contract, because they say that the employee or the client can change the instructor at any moment of time, so he can change it on the lesson and one more thing is the vehicle. Let's put the vehicle here, and let's bring this guy here. No, or make better to put the test here. I put it here, and I put the test result here. So can I bring the car and its dependencies here. So I put the car here and attach the car to the lessons. A lesson has a car. So basically a lesson has a car or a vehicle. We don't know what car is it now. So this vehicle, each lesson must have one vehicle, so it's 1 to 1. Each lesson must have 0, 1, 1, and one. So let's review what we did so far. I believe we cover everything in this diagram. We have a staff. This staff can be an instructor, actually is an instructor, so we have here this relationship here. Let's bring him up a little bit. Will it fix something? No, up a little bit. It doesn't fix anything. Maybe if I bring this here. Nothing happened. I'm just trying to. Okay, that's fine. If I do like this a little bit up, will it fix? Nothing. Control F. So an office has multiple staff. This staff can be instructor, and the instructor will manage the office, and the office has clients. The client should have a test, and if he fail, he might have reason for fail or pass. So might, if reason if fail, if fail. Okay, so if fail, we have this, and then we have a vehicle, and we said we can expand our business, so to have vehicle type and inspection. uh, we have the package. The package will have some price differences, contract, and the contract would attach it to the lesson and the interview. I believe if this is the case, we are in a good shape from a design point of view. Sorry for the macaroni stuff style of design, but I believe it cover everything. Thank you, and see you in the next when we transfer this to tables, and we'll go through it in details. Hi guys, how are you? Just one link I missed it, which is the link between the office and the contract. So basically a client sign a contract with the office, so that makes sense, and the office has many contracts. Okay, so it's 1001 from the office point of view, and from the at the end of the contract it is 0 or many. So I believe now it is better.